So we have Michael Warr right there. Say hello. And then we have Chun over there. Now remember, they're both award-winning poets. Please enjoy this. They can recite in English and then in Mandarin, and then they have a combination. So make sure, I think all the poets, the meaning is really make sure we all live in peace and harmony, and then we all live in this one world. So make it a good place, a beautiful place for us to be in. 多謝大家嚇，我哋一定有好嘅環境、好嘅生活，同埋一定要世界和平，好嗎？多謝 ，thank you。
Yeah, so we work together on a project called Two Languages, One Community, and we've been doing that since 2014, where we go into both the Asian and the African American community, and sometimes get them talking to each other and writing their own work, and then presenting that work both in English and Chinese. Our last project that we did in Oakland also included a Japanese writer and translator as well. So we're going to share with you today some of the poems that we've worked on in that project. I'm going to start with in addition to peace and harmony, we're also about fighting the power. So sometimes you got to do that to get peace and harmony. And what we're really about is solidarity. And so soon after the COVID protocols were announced in the Bay Area in 2020, I wrote this poem that I'm going to share with you today in response to the escalating attacks against Asians around the world, but also right here in San Francisco. And this piece is called To Your Assailant Who Attacks Us All. Do you call yourself God-fearing, devoted to do on to others? Does your God condone your violence, your ignorance, your corruption? Does your God hate your neighbor like you do? Does your God share your love for prophets bearing false witness, fueling your grievance fever? Do you swallow the lies they regurgitate? Do you really need a reason? Are you truly a true believer of both God and golden calf? Does the all-knowing know you? Do they love you as you are? Does it matter that they are watching your naked depravity? Do you pray before you prey on innocence in this guilty world? Do you have your God's blessing? Or are you as godless as you seem? Did your father teach you to beat the mean and maim? Is he proud of your cowardice? Does your mother say, "Well done, son"? Did they train you in backwardness? Do you feel bigger in your smallness? Is your content with acts of uselessness? Is your inner bully seething still beneath your concealed surface? Are you comforted in your criminality, stupefied by superiority, simply insane or lost? Who are you?
Now I'm going to read my Chinese translation of Michael's poem. And he wrote the poem pretty early on in the pandemic. I just came back from China for an event across the street in the Chinese Culture Center. And this is a very important poem for our collaboration and for the movements we are in, and both for the Black Lives Matter movement and also what the Asian communities are facing right now. So, 致攻击你们的人，他们在攻击我们所有人。你自称敬畏上帝吗？你致力于己所不欲，勿施于人吗？你的上帝宽恕了你的暴力、你的无知、你的腐败吗？你的上帝像你这样仇恨你的邻居吗？你的上帝会认同你的带着假见证，让你的愤怒不平不断发烧的所谓的先知的爱吗？ 你吞下他们反复口吐的谎言吗？你真的需要理由吗？你是你的神和金牛犊真正的信徒吗？你那全知的神认识你吗？他们会爱这样的你吗？他们你在乎他们看着你赤裸的堕落吗？在袭猎这个有罪的世界上的无辜者时，你祈祷吗？你有上帝的祝福吗？还是像你看起来那样没有上帝？你的父亲教你去攻击、贬低和残害他人吗？他会为你的怯懦感到骄傲吗？你的母亲会说干得好，儿子吗？他们训练你倒退、落后了吗？你卑鄙渺小时感到更强大吗？你满足于自己无意的行为吗？隐藏在你表面下的恶霸还在沸腾吗？你在被优越性麻木了的犯罪中受到了安慰吗？是疯了，还是迷路了？你是谁 ？Thank you.
Thank you, Chung Yu. The second poem I'm going to read is a poem that I have been adding names to since 2018. And those are the names mostly of Black people who have been unjustly killed by the police. This poem will also be written in Chinese, and it's called What Not to Do, an unfinished poem. Breathe, Eric Gardner choked. Sell, Lucy's. Resist to death. Stand, Amadou Diallo, in vestibule. Carry, wallet. Look out of place. Act suspicious. 41 fired, 19 bullets kill. Park, Tanya Haggerty on side of road. Talk, on cell, on side of road. Shot on side of road. Drive, Philando Castile with broken brake lights. Carry legal firearm. Announce you have a gun. Shout not reaching for gun. Shot 5 bullets to heart. Approach Oscar Grant, the police. Beg not to shoot. Kneel, shot anyway, and back. Carry Tamir Rice, toy gun, shot with real bullets. Carry Remain Bisbin, prescription bottle, shot 2 bullets to torso. Not carry Keith Lamont Scott a gun when told to drop it. Be Natasha McKinnon, schizophrenic. Be superhuman, stunned while shackled, 50,000 votes to death. Be John Crawford, an imminent threat. Shop for Walmart air rifle. Carry Walmart air rifle at Walmart. Talk on cell phone at Walmart. Shot with real bullets at Walmart. Be George Floyd, a suspect. Be a 6'7" Black man. Be claustrophobic, asphyxiated, knee on neck or handcuffed. Run Stephen Clark to grandmother's yard. Carry cell phone. Shot 20 bullets fired, 8 hit primarily in back. Jog Ahmaud Arbery, shot 2 bullets, kill while hunted. Sleep Breonna Taylor in bed, shot 8 bullets, kill. Sleep Rashard Brooks at Wendy's. Flee for daughter's birthday. Point did taser over shoulder, shot 2 bullets in back. Walk, Elijah McCain, home. Look, sketchy. Play music. Wear ski mat. Shop for iced tea. Carry iced tea. Act crazy. Whisper, can't breathe. Beg to go home. Be superhuman. Be anemic. Be suspicious. Be on something. Be undetermined. Choked to death. Breathe.
Thank you, Michael. And here is the Chinese translation of the poem. 不要做什么，一首未完成的诗。呼吸，埃里克加纳被窒息。卖香烟，反抗致死。站立，阿马杜迪亚洛在门廊，携带钱包，看不自在的举动可疑。41枪打了19颗子弹，杀死。停车，谭雅哈格西在路边谈话，在手机上，在路边被射杀，在路边开车。费兰多卡斯迪尔刹车灯坏了，携带合法武器，宣布你有枪，喊叫没有伸手拿枪，被射杀，5颗子弹，2颗打到心脏，携带塔米尔赖斯玩具枪，被射杀，用真的子弹，携带鲁曼布里斯本处方瓶，被射杀，2颗子弹打到躯干，没有携带基斯拉蒙特斯科特枪，当被告知要放下他时被射杀，放下卡胡安雷1把枪，后来发现的被射杀，从后面是娜塔莎麦肯纳被人攻击，精神分裂，是超人，是被铐时被电击5万伏特致死，是乔治弗洛伊德一个嫌疑犯，是一个6英尺的黑人，是幽闭恐惧症窒息，膝盖压在脖子上，戴着手套，戴着手铐，慢跑。艾哈曼德阿伯里被射杀，2颗子弹杀死，狩猎时睡觉。布莱恩纳泰勒在床上被射杀，8颗子弹杀死。走回以利亚麦克莱恩家，看起来可疑，放音乐，拿着冰茶，举止疯狂，祈求解释，不能正确的呼吸，祈求回家。是超人，是贫血，是多疑，是磕了什么，被窒息致死，呼吸。Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chun Yu. I just want to say that if you want the full Chinese version of the poem and the full version of the English, go to our website, twolanguagesoneCommunity.com. We just shared excerpts with you today.
Thank you, Michael. Now we are going to come to my own poetry. I'm going to read 3 poems. I have Chinese versions for all of them, but for concerns of time, I will read only one Chinese version for the last poem. The first poem is called Cotton. I grew up in China during the Chinese Cultural Revolution. I had never saw a foreigner before during my childhood, but we studied the Black history in history classes, and in our area we had cotton fields, and I used to follow my grandmother into the cotton fields when I heard the story of the Black people here, what they went through, and I had a leap of imagination. I understood what those little Black children were going through, and in the cotton fields too. So cotton, all I could think of was little black hands picking, and picking snow white cotton. When I was a child, learning about your people's fate on the other side of the ocean in a winter classroom with no heating, my country, red and deep, in revolution, isolated from the world, I heard slavery, a term ancient and distant, re-denounced in the land where I sat with frozen toes, trembling with indignation and yearning for justice. The original Shan, the pure goodness at the heart of a child, revolution or not, red, black, or other. I had never met a child of another color. All I could think of was little black faces smiling like blooming cotton flowers, bursting warmth in a summer harvest. All I could think of was little black hands giving warm white cotton away. Little black hands snatched away from hands of mama and grandmama. Little black hands forever lost in the vast world, forever reaching at a loss, forever wiping tears, clear and salty, just like my own when I missed my mama as I snuggled next to my grandma under the ancient oil lamp, her hands roughened from cotton picking for the ism and the revolution, which we must all love and give everything to. Stitching and cushioning shoes night after night, with the few handfuls of cotton rationed to her, and a long thread she spun with a wooden spindle, spinning since the beginning of time and a memory to keep my feet warm. Little black hands, where was your cotton? Where was your thread? Where were your mama and grandma? I had never met a child of another color. When I learned your history as a child, all I could feel was your ocean of tears flooding into the yellow sea, rushing the shore 100 miles away. Thank you. The next poem is called The Lighthouse. It's the lighthouse of Point Bonita at Marine Headlands. And I learned not long ago that the long tunnel that led to the lighthouse was built by Chinese laborers after they built the railway. And they were not wanted, and nobody were willing to do such a dangerous job because the lock were very loose. You need to use hand and hand tools. So they slaved over it for a few weeks to build that, and hence there is a lighthouse. And when I look at the lighthouse after I learned the history, and I understood what they were facing then. The lighthouse. An iron door opens to a dark tunnel through a giant rock chiseled a long time ago by bare hands and hand tools, hands that came from across the ocean, hands that chiseled through the continent, hands that built the railway Trans-America, a land these hands touched deeply, a land these hands died for, a land these hands survived, a land these hands grew to love and wanted to make home. The headland of the continent, America, a giant dark rock probing into the vast water, one side the raging ocean, the other side the calm bay. Entering the tunnel, the narrow pass, my mind engulfed by darkness and the unknowing, floats in the suddenly edgeless universe. All senses seem lost, except one that the world is split, one side the homeland, one side the land of home. until after arriving at the end of the tunnel, I see on tip of the rock, the end of the headland, bare, in rain and wind, fog and cloud, sun and moon, is a lighthouse standing above the raging Pacific like a heart beating to shine for both shores. Thank you. Thank you. As a first-generation immigrant, I'm completely aware of the past. I keep on learning the difficult history of the earlier generations, of how they stayed here, separated from their own families, and went through difficulties, barriers after barriers. And I'm actually working on a graphic novel about the over 100 years of immigration history in the Bay Area. So I can learn myself too. So the next poem is called The Map. I initially wrote this poem for my parents, who I haven't seen for over a year and a half in China. And I'm really broken for that. I know many of us are experiencing the same thing. So I give you this poem, The Map, which is also the map of love. The map. When I was born, your bosom was a map. I occupied all of it in your cradling arms. When I began to walk, your eyesight was a map. I learned my steps, toddling and waddling, in your adoring gaze. When I started school, your mind became the map. I ventured out and back, from morning to night, in your unceasing care. When I grew up and left home, from hometown to other towns, home country to other countries, your heart became the map. I searched far and wide, high and low, for my direction and a place in the world, in your loving thoughts. Each time I set out for a journey, you asked for my destination, studied an open map, accurately locating the point of my being. Then one day, you picked up a magnifying glass, eyes moving closer and closer, hands trembling more and more, finally at a loss, no longer seeing clearly the lines and points on the map. You hold me in your heart. Growing older and older, you can now only walk in my eyesight, fumbling steps, every trip outside, an adventure. From now on, I will walk by your side, so you can lean on me when we are at a loss, not knowing where to go. Love is the map. Thank you. Now I give you the Chinese version of the poem, which was published on Xinhua Daily in China. And the English version actually is published by the San Francisco Public Library's Poem of the Day series, and also the legendary Arian Press is dedicating their broadside of this poem to this year's graduating students around the US and their parents and their teachers. And so they published, first time they also published Chinese in their publishing history. So I give you the Chinese version, 地图。刚出生时，你的胸怀是一张地图，我是那地图的全部，在你的怀抱中。刚走路时，你的目光是一张地图，我在那地图中摇摇学步，在你的注视中。上学时，我走出了家门，你的脑海是一张地图，我在那地图中朝出暮归，在你的牵挂中。长大后，我离开了家，从故乡到外乡，从祖国到异国， 你的心是一张地图，我在那地图中摸索方向，寻找位置，在你的想念中。每当我开始一个旅程，你总会打开一张地图，询问我的去处，时时准确地找到我的所在。后来，你拿起了放大镜，眼睛离地图越来越近，手抖得越来越厉害。终于茫然中，你已经看不清地图上的点与线，我在你的心里。渐行渐慢，有一天，你只能在我的目光里蹒跚。每一次出行都是一场冒险。从此，我将把你搀扶在我的臂弯。当我们茫然不知所向，爱是一张地图。Again, when we are at a loss, not knowing where to go, love is the map. May we all follow the map of love, and may we all find our ways. Thank you.